So I'll take it that most of us have been watching Agatha all along. I, for one, have been greatly enjoying it, and I wanted to talk a bit about it because I'm not just loving it as a whole, but also from a technical perspective. I do want to note, though, that I wrote this and edited it almost all before the release of episode 7. It's a topic I'm not entirely sure how I want to approach, but it is something that's been on my mind for a while. Recently, with the influx of movies and television shows in the past decade, shows are coming out more and more frequently for shorter and shorter runs. That being a good or a bad thing, that's a debate not for this video. This is specifically about the use of practical sets in modern TV and film instead of studios relying on the VFX artists to make the sets in post. I'm probably saying that because I'm consuming media from a bunch of different sources. I don't just watch Disney or just any one studio or just any one source. I'm watching from a bunch across all. Right now, I'm watching the new Murdoch Mysteries. I'm watching Agatha all along. I've got some animated shows in the mix. But other than those animated shows, a lot of those have been live action, and that's just how the course of media has been. Say what you want about the state of animation at the moment, that's not what this is about. This is about those live action shows, and honestly, some of those live action movies that have come out recently. What I want to focus on today is Agatha All Along, because it's doing something with its show that I have not seen in a while, and that it's relying entirely, or almost entirely, on practical effects and practical sets. It really feels like there's magic in it when you're not hiding everything behind CGI. To use practical sets seems to become a rare thing these days, with a lot of shows relying on CGI render sets from blue screens, or in cases like the Ahsoka show, a digital set where the background is made up of screens. It's not always got the depth to it. Best case scenario, you get shows like House of the Dragon that use practical in the foreground and CGI backgrounds. With these, you lose something special in the immersion of a practical set, the way that it almost becomes a character unto itself. While watching Agatha All Along, I can almost smell the preserved moss they use all over the Witch's Road, the slightly sweet smell of man-made fog, and yes, before you judge, that fog does have a smell for it, because I've been consumed by it before. I know it has a smell. All of this in comparison to other shows, where as much as you can love the characters in the shows, I've had problems latching onto the show as a whole, and I think maybe the sets were a reason for that. It made those first episodes feel flat, like there was no dimension to them.
And of course, there's nothing better as an actor than having practical sets to act with.
Every single effect in Agatha will be done practically.
As you can tell, that's not an issue with Agatha. WandaVision had it for a little bit as well. For they are relying on practical sets and practical effects. There's a different feel that these shows have that can't be replicated by CGI. For a company like Marvel, who use and rely on CGI sets for their movies, you can really feel the difference in their shows when real sets are used. Not only that, the backgrounds, the houses along the Witch's Road, those are miniatures. They exist in our reality and they feel real. You could reach through your screen and touch them. When we see them on screen, so do the actors. They aren't acting to an empty room. You can feel the energy there and it stays strong. There are little details that bring everything together. The road slowly changing between the trials to reflect the energy. The purples, the greens, the yellows. The leaves on the pathway actively change colors between episodes. It makes the road feel both alive and real and magical all at the same time, seeing those leaves get kicked up as they run or fall, or when those beautiful costumes sweep across the forest floor. Even the flying scenes, they recorded the actors riding on their brooms in a rig that allowed them to be moved, making it so it's one of the best scenes and uses of it because it allows CGI to fill in the blanks. You could see the real movement in their hair and clothes. Honestly, the only flying scene I've ever seen do it better is from Hocus Pocus, and that's because they could do it all practically. Do you know how crazy it is? Do you know how crazy you have to go with practical effects to have large amounts of water not just used but interact with your cast? To have fire on set to make your monsters real? It's crazy, and I love it. This is what I want more of. More series taking the time to do things great instead of pumping out new series every couple of months. I hope Disney sees that with this series and stops listening to all the hate, given that fans are getting more and more upset on how media is losing what makes it special. I love to see the sense of authenticity that this show brings when it comes to its effects. Truly a show that brings magic to the screen with every little detail. With that all being said, this is Backstage Magic, signing off.